Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I am Siddharth Zarabi, and with me, the most powerful woman in the advertising industry in India, Anupriya Acharya, CEO of Publicis Groupe South Asia. Welcome to Business Today Television, and as we call it, the Business Today Multiverse, on stands, online, on air. And that's my first question. The multiverse that we call it, in advertising terms, are we now living in the multiverse age? For TV, money for print, and money for digital as well.
Firstly, thank you very much for having me on this show. And your introduction was extremely humbling. So thank you for that. Coming to your question, multiverse. Yes, indeed so. So when you talk about people living on, online, offline, and you talked about TV and print, this has been a reality forever. It's just that with the advent of Web 2.0, which ensured that, social and everything became part of everyone's lives, it suddenly transformed the way we behaved as people and conducted our lives. And then we all are aware with the pandemic what has happened. All of this has got accelerated by almost a decade. What the kind of changes we may have expected in terms of people embracing all of this, that got accelerated. And because of that, what has happened essentially, we see that many more million people are online more often. And they have, whether it is shopping, whether it is entertaining themselves, whether it is information, they are consuming more of that online. Which is all a behavior change really accelerated by the pandemic. So today when we talk, yes, people are indeed living in what you're calling the multiverse, which is they are equally comfortable online as they are, so-called offline channels. For brands and for advertising, what it means is that all of us need to be able to decode how they are, what their journeys are in each of these areas, how are they conducting themselves, and what is it that excites them, because it's our core job is to understand the consumers, right? So that's what it means for us. And we find that when brands create dialogues with them through the entire journey, as compared to only in one area or the other area, those journeys seem to be way more successful as compared to just getting your consumers in one area or whatever. So we believe that it is important to be in the multiverse, which is essentially be there the entire part of the consumer journey, no matter where they are. And
Anupriya,
that should be done seamlessly.
What is exciting brands and advertisers? What parts of the multiverse really? Around the IPL, we saw a certain kind of buzz. We also saw off-pitch slugfest of sorts. But what is really exciting brands and advertisers, especially in the Indian context?
I think the scale of India is what is really exciting the brands and the advertisers. I think there's never been a better time. There's never been a better time for our market. And some would argue that this is the decade of India, 2030. And we see that, like, even as we started our journey on 23, there are enough and more global headwinds, and we know about the Ukraine war going forever, and we are a part of a larger, multinational network. And as part of that, we are fairly connected also to the other operations across
Absolutely. You basically listen across the world in some ways.
Yes, exactly. So, it's 23 has started on a very sober note for globally. Across markets, the economy is having a meltdown in a lot of markets. We've seen the huge technological meltdown that has happened, and trillions of dollars have gone from equity for technology companies. We've seen the Ukraine war is continuing and all of that, right? So it has started on a sober note for a lot of people across the world. We are fortunate that our market, I'm not saying that is totally isolated from it, but it has a huge domestic potential, which it is living up to. So this decade, we expect that the median income of people, as it goes above the $2,500 mark, it is going to mean a lot of growth for a lot of brands and a lot of advertisers. So this market is equally important, not only for all the Indian clients and the Indian new brands which are coming up, but equally important for all the global clients. India is the top market for a lot of our global clients, and towards that, I mean, it's not about a quarter-to-quarter thing, but in the medium to long term, we see huge growth potential.
Since you said medium to long term, how's the short term going to pan out? We've seen a disappointing quarter for whatever reasons, and there are questions being asked. Is this downturn going to get deeper in the Indian context? I don't know if you agree with that. And what do you expect? What sectors do you expect coming back into play in the next couple of quarters?
Surely. So since we are more into, a lot of our clients are more into the B2C area, surely we have a better understanding of that area because we see that on a daily basis. Clearly, there are sectors, especially the tech sector and the app economy clients, which were in fact gave a huge growth in the last 2 years post the pandemic, because we saw exponential growth on digital.
And there was exponential investment also.
Exponential
and the cutbacks
investment
are
and-
being seen also in jobs, for example, not just ad budgets.
Exactly. But I think if we decode it a bit, you realize that a lot of it is also a function of the fact that when the world came out of the pandemic, it was exponential growth for that part. All right. To start thinking of it that this is the new normal and we are going to grow at 70-80% is also like a little.
Absolutely.
And if you look at all the statements being given by the global technology firms when they are looking at layoffs and all, large part of it, what is underlining it is the fact that they were building their organizations for a different economic reality. So they had expected that kind of thing will continue.
Absolutely. And just to add here, everyone thought the world is now on Zoom.
Yes.
And look at what happened to Zoom share prices. I think that mirrors
Yes.
peak digital and what has happened afterwards.
Exactly. So I think some of it is also like, very normal correction. I mean, once people can go out, once people can do things, obviously they're going to buy offline. Obviously they are also going to. So that doesn't mean that the growth has stopped altogether. But if our expectation is that some of those areas need to continue to grow at that level at 60, 70, 80%, then obviously that is untenable. But if you look at a linear line right from like over a 10-year period, if you remove from the exceptional bit downturn during the pandemic and the upswing post that, which was a little bit of a reboot, it's on a growth track really. And yes, if we contrast it in a very short period, which is the last 2 years, then we'll say, the things, there are a lot of headwinds. And we see that even for us, for the app economy clients and all of them. So, I mean, there is a funding winter visible. And obviously, advertising and marketing is the first area that sort of gets hit by that. Equally, on the other hand, however, if you look at some of the food and beverage companies and some of the consumer product companies, they are doing excellently. And that is again mirroring in the marketing and advertising.
It's a small pie, but just a quick comment about real estate, because, any sort of special occasion and 5 front covers are just premium luxury housing, for example. I know it's not that big a pie, but still a quick comment about that.
I'm not really the right person to comment about it because I don't really follow that so closely.
Yeah.
But it's and frankly there are many other factors which really impact real estate.
Okay. Some of the data that I have had about your group is that under your stewardship, many victories in 2022, viewers, and the big one was winning the 600 crore mandate for PepsiCo's India business. Now, again, we've already spoken about this, but halfway into 2023, how is that mandate panning out, and what's the momentum going forward?
So firstly, I must say that we were all extremely excited and will continue to be excited of winning that mandate for a few reasons. One, of course, this was a 30-year-old mandate, 30-year-old relationship, which sort of, after 30 years, they came into the market to really see, what is there in the market. And so it was a big win. Two is it was a highly competitive pitch. The best of the best were competing for it. And three, of course, while the pitches happen independently for the creative business, for the media business, for the digital business, we independently won each one of them.
Okay.
And the reason it is important for us is it also is a statement in the market that just because we are a group where clients can leverage each of our services easily, it doesn't mean that our individual services are any. They are, excelling in the market in their
And
own
they
right.
compete on their own
They
merit.
compete on their own merit, and that is something that is very core to our success, and we are very proud of it. But moving into 23, of course, it is a lot of work, and that is the one category which is doing extremely well. And obviously, we have to keep pace with that, with all the growth that is happening, which is not a bad problem to have.
Yeah, not at all. Many people would give a arm and leg for that.
Exactly.
Last year you also stepped in the world of Web 3.0. You mentioned Web 2. Tell us a bit more about what you have been doing there and what's the strategy to sort of remain future ready.
So firstly, we believe that technology is not something which is like something on the periphery, like the IT and all of that. Technology is core to the success of any company, no matter which field you are in. So some of the steps that we have taken in our own way to ensure that it is mainstream is that we have a chief technology officer at a group level whose mandate is across the group, and we have a technology council. So there are 2-3 things that we've done with this structure. Apart from the fact that, of course, he's extremely qualified, what we've done is we have created a council with a mandate that for the whole group, no matter which area you are in, whether you are in creative, whether you're in media, whether you are in digital, whether you're in PR, how is technology shaping our products and what could possibly come out of it. And so hence have a clear midterm to long-term plan on technology, like the immediate and the medium term and the long-term plan. And so at any point in time, we are not suddenly caught in the middle of this whole thing that, all of this has happened on the creative side and we didn't realize how technology is going to impact that. Or in media, this has happened and how it would have impacted it. So there's a clear roadmap, and the whole leadership team across the group has a window to how things are moving in each of these areas, and they are able to contribute. So there's a very healthy relationship at the top between business and technology. The second thing we are doing is that you can grow only as much as talent you have. So if there is a dearth of talent, you can win all the business that you get, but you can't grow fast enough because you don't have talent.
Yeah, you don't have the execution
Firepower,
firepower.
right? So through that, we have ensured that we have a clear mapping of all the skills that we have and what are the skills required as per the roadmap. And we do a lot of bench creation and we've created a lot of full mapping on talent acquisition from campuses, what are the trainings, L&D and all of that. So these are some of the things. And they also create products for us where we don't find any products in the market off the shelf to solve for our clients, to solve for us. So these are the 3 mandates basically they've given, and this has been very useful for us in the last 2 years.
Since we're speaking about technology and the process of creativity, where do you see technology contributing in influencing creativity? I'm not going to ask you about what role will generative AI play. I'm sure you've answered that a few dozen times already. But since you're so passionate about technology and its role, how will it influence the process of creativity?
So I think technology is more like it's best when it's harnessed well. And so there are a lot of, like you talked about generative AI, right? And there's a lot of conversation around it. The fact is that whether it will get the better of us or whether we are going to harness it well.
Doesn't it remind you of the same kind of conversations that happened around the introduction of computers? There were sectors which opposed it and they said there will be job losses, and then everyone realized that it's just adding to your productivity in many ways.
Absolutely. So if you harness it well, and which is where we are saying that last year metaverse was big, and so it's important that you're able to decode it, because see, in technology the trends come and go. Which one will become big and which will sort of wash away, one gets to know only with time. But that's what makes it so exciting, that as you are navigating the current, you need to be able to sort of decode each one of these. And some of these sort of, go out and become the larger trends. And you can't discount any of these. To me, hence, for creativity, when you're talking about it, is extremely important that our people be well qualified in terms of able to harness each of these.
Yeah, leverage them,
Leverage
take out
them
the best.
for their. But that doesn't remove fundamental creativity and originality and all of that. See, all of these artificial intelligence and machine learning that we talk about, a lot of it is based on past data and the past work that has happened. But the originality is something that still comes from the human mind.
And that process of
yeah.
discovery is still underway. You know, I want to move away from what your group and what you are doing, spearheading it, and come back to that question, which is frankly been the dominant one here. And this is to do with, most forecasts suggesting that digital has overtaken, other mediums. And on this very chair, I have had pretty much everyone say things like the age of TV is not over. There is still a lot of juice left. Rajan Anandan gave out a number. I don't know if you're aware of it. He said $25 billion digital by 2030. I've had a couple of people say, well, we respect him, but that's not happening. What are your thoughts about this subject?
So whether it will be 25 billion by 2030 or not we will see that, right? But the larger point I think which Rajan is making, and I agree with that, is that there is going to be an exponential growth in the digital economy. I also agree with the other point that you're saying that it is not. All of this is not at the cost of what we have. It is, even in the recent IPL we saw that the overall universe of viewership has grown. And a lot of this growth that we talk about, the digital economy, it's not only media or eyeballs. It is many other things which are associated with that, which is creation of those experiences, creation of the sort of, if we talk about commerce, if we talk about entertainment. So there is a whole creative economy also which sort of, it fuels that. So as we move into 2030, there will be exponential growth on digital. But I agree fully, in a market like India and given our demographics and where we are, it's not that your classic print, forget TV, are going to fall by the wayside in a hurry. And the reason I say so, we see immense growth in the regional vernaculars still. So India is a leapfrog market. There's a huge growth in digital, but that doesn't mean that there's a lot of leapfrogging which has happened even on print and television.
Yeah.
So I think they are going to, in a hurry, we are not definitely vacating that or saying that,
What is that one thing that, strikes you about the confusion that clients saw around IPL and the messaging by two different media right owners, and perhaps that debate will get settled around the final, but now that we are almost at the end of the season, who won this part of the game? Not the on-pitch game, but the media game. Who won it? Digital or TV? 50-50, 70-30?
No, I think eventually, I think both won it. So you are right. When the whole thing started, there was a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion, like will it be this or will it be that and whatever. If you look at the television viewership, it has been higher than last year.
But overall, in revenue terms?
Revenue terms, I think it would be, my assessment is that it would be flat over last year.
Okay. And given the overall sort of bids, so there is a significant shortfall this year.
Yeah, but
if you average it out over 5 years.
Yeah. But these are a bit long term than that, and who knows what is in store.
So we should look at the end of the term rather than on a...
Yes. But I think it's not for, I think it is right for the broadcasters to comment on the...
Absolutely. I just wanted your...
But this is my own assessment.
But is the confusion over? Is that...
Confusion of what?
Of where do we spend? And they held back spending. That's what several people have told me. Is that confusion?
No, actually, I am surprised. Like what we saw unravel over this whole IPL season is that clients had a better sort of better opportunity to leverage. So there are clients which created a lot of only digital packages because they had different needs, and that is the universe that they were trying to target. And there were clients who were very clear that they wanted to be on television, because the thing is that in the past world, like if you look at 5, 7, 8, 10 years back, you had no option but to buy the whole package.
Oh,
so
yeah.
TV plus
now
digital. Now you can decide that I want to.
And the
This
World
works
Cup,
better
it
for
will be
me and
again
this
a
works
different
better for
thing
me,
because
and
there
so-
will be an integrated offering.
Exactly. So the entry point changes. You don't have to be above a certain threshold level to be able to participate in IPL. The ticket sizes that one requires otherwise are also more affordable. So I think it's a win-win. And I also find most clients are extremely well, what should I say, are very clear on all of this. They are very sort of knowledgeable on the IPO
Absolutely.
because they have been on this like many, many years in a row.
That's true. As we wind down the conversation, just follow up on what we have discussed so far. And this is since you have so much listening and feedback that comes to you at your level, what sectors will drive spending and kind of fill the vacuum that has been created by a certain startup, crypto, and associated, weakness that we saw?
So I think from our point of view, I think the evergreen classics like the consumer products, CPGs, food and beverage, that are going to continue growing given the huge domestic sort of market that we have. And we find that areas like electrical vehicles and
The overall
health tech,
auto
yes,
pack though.
yeah. There's a lot of work, 5G, and everything that is surrounded by 5G, whatever 5G touches, areas related to that, health tech. So all of these we believe are going to definitely come up in in the short term make up for it, but in the long term, that sector, the tech sector that you're talking about, is not gone, right? It is there. As I said, it is a folly for us to believe that it's now done and
Yeah.
dusted.
You started this
Yes,
conversation
yes,
by
yes.
saying
So
that while there may be a winter,
yeah,
there is
that's
spring and
that's
summer.
exactly. There is going to be spring and summer. So at that point in time, these will continue to grow, and so will that be. So in short, I'm very bullish on this market.
Great. My final question, and this is not to do with business, this is not to do with all the great stuff that you and your group does. At a personal level, business today has recognized you as one of the most powerful women in business. Uh, what is it that you are looking forward to this year, and maybe as far as you can tell us, in terms of a personal challenge you feel you need to take on?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I haven't thought about that. Our work keeps us very busy. But since you have given me this platform, I would like to talk about something that I'm really passionate about.
Please do.
And we've introduced in our organization as well, which is to do this whole thing about people looking after their well-being, fitness, and overall sort of
Mental and physical.
Yes, mental, physical, everything. I'm very passionate about that, and I think it is important that as organizations we create a full program around that, because through the pandemic we realized that of course we lost some near and dear. Everybody lost some near and dear once, right? That was a pandemic, but we also had very unfortunate situations around mental health and all of that when people were sort of isolated. And we realized that a lot of times in our industry, in other industries, we talk about how important talent is. And we do possibly a lot when all of these unfortunate incidents have happened. I think it is important for us to take a proactive step and look at people's health and well-being and make it mainstream when they are, healthy and strong.
Yes.
Rather than doing
when
it
the game is lost.
too little, too late.
Absolutely.
So this is something that we actively encourage our people to sort of look after, and there are a lot of things that we do in that program. I personally am a huge, fitness fan, and I believe that there's a clear connection between mind, body, and spirit.
What wins the game for you? Yoga or gymming, or what? Is it a mix?
So I do weight training.
Oh, wow.
I do boxing.
Wow.
And I very recently have started animal flow. So these are the things, and we continue to we strive to be better versions of ourselves every day.
Wonderful.
And that's what our war cry is.
And that's a good sort of example to give. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers will really be enthused and inspired by what you've just said. Anupriya Acharya, thank you very much for your time. I wish you all the very best for all that you're doing. With that, it's a wrap on this conversation. If you've been, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.